What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode. We have an emergency analysis here today because Bitcoin at the moment is trying to break out of the top trend line I have been charting for the past couple of days. Very important trend line because we have quite a bit of resistance levels at around that trend line, including the 3-day 21 SMA, 50 daily SMA, and then up next is going to be the daily 200 SMA. Huge resistance there. If the bulls can actually flip that resistance, it's going to look much better for a confirmation of the bull market to be continuing. I'm going to be taking a look into a smaller time frame real quick because it's telling me that this could be pulling back in the short term based on what is being charted here, okay? Now, we are going to zoom out, of course, into a later time frame and see if things are still looking good on a higher time frame. Now, let's come over here to the hourly time frame here, right? Where we do see there was a rounded bottom there, and it looked like a cup and handle, right? But the price action tried to break out of this cup and handle, right, on the hourly time frame, and basically got rejected pretty hard back into the pattern, okay? And what I'm seeing here is a bear flag, okay? This is a textbook bear flag, okay? Now, the price target for this bear flag, which is also known as a rising wedge, okay, you guys can look that up yourself, chart it yourself, and see if this is exactly what it looks like on here. Don't just take my opinion for it, okay, because none of this is financial advice. It's purely my speculations and opinions, okay? Now, if this is going to break down, if it actually breaks down from where it is right now, right, then we have a price target of about 81.6. Okay, that is still a pretty deep pullback. Okay, so definitely don't want to see this break down if you're a bull, right, and see if this could actually break out of this bear flag. That would look a lot better, right, especially if the bulls are actually able to break out of a bearish pattern. That would be very bullish. However, until then, I'm keeping an eye out on this and see where I would open or close positions. Okay, just considering my own risk tolerance and my own strategy. Now, let's take a look into the 12-hour time frame, which was the time frame I talked about yesterday. Very important because as of yesterday, there was still a higher high and higher low trajectory. And in an uptrend, that's what you want to see. You want to see higher highs and higher lows. Okay, we do have a higher high here. However, this higher high needs to be cautioned because what you're seeing here, even though you're seeing a slightly higher high on the 12-hour time frame on the RSI, very simple but very effective indicator, you're seeing bearish divergence, okay, where it's basically if you have a higher high or equal high on the price action chart, which we do, and you see a equal or a lower high on the RSI, which we do, that is textbook bearish divergence and usually signals a pullback, which we are seeing right now on the 12-hour time frame, which this candle closes in about 9 hours. Very important to be paying attention to. Let's see if the bulls can actually invalidate this bearish divergence, okay? If that does, it will look great, right? And that will look great for this breakout here. Otherwise, it's going to be a fake out and it's going to pull us back quite a bit. Okay, now price targets are only estimates. Okay, it could be more or less, right? We do have quite a bit of support underneath the price action, including some smaller time frame moving averages, including the 12-hour 21 SMA, right? Since we have actually broken above that, but have yet to retest it. Okay, so quite a bit of support underneath the price action right now. That is still, in the bulls' favor. Let's take a look into the daily time frame where we do still have a higher high and higher low trajectory, especially since that dump we had last week. Well, it actually pulled us all the way back to about 74-ish, right? We do still have a higher low. And if we keep a higher low, then the next logical move is a higher high. Very important to be paying attention to if we're actually going to get bearish divergence on the RSI as well. Because you could get a higher high, but you get divergence, that's not going to be looking good because that usually signals a pullback and weakness in the move. So since yesterday, 12-hour time frame, there was still a higher high and higher low. Now it's looking kind of weak. So what do? I zoom out and see on which time frames do we still have a clear uptrend, and on the daily time frame we still do have a clear uptrend. Okay, now like I said, this very important range, right? Next up is going to be 87.5, the daily 200 SMA, the orange line. If the bulls are actually able to break out of that level, 87.5, next level up will be 89,000, which is basically this pattern that everyone's been talking about. But I think I've actually talked about it first, right? Which is the 3-day time frame, the double bottom pattern here, right? If price action is actually able to break out of 89,000, the neckline of this double bottom pattern, price target is going to be about 104,000, give or take. And then the next real level I'll be looking at will be the 110,000 all-time high that the bulls actually need to break above in order to confirm this uptrend. Okay, this bull market. Of course, caveats are if we don't see weakness in the RSI as well. That is basically what I'm focusing on. These are my indicators. I think a lot of people use many other indicators. For me, in my opinion, as long as you're good at reading the indicators that you use, then that's all that matters. All right, so that is basically what I'm looking at for Bitcoin on the upside. On the downside, always got to consider the downside, okay? That's how you risk manage, right? If things go south, you kind of at least have prepared for what to do next, okay? Because things have gone south before, and things can definitely do so again in the future. That's just the game of trading, right? So 3-day time frame, if you start getting 3-day candles, closes below 78,000, that's not going to be looking good. I've already charted a possible downside scenario for this if this fails, which is a possible falling wedge pattern. If it actually breaks all the way down here, it would take price action back to about the low 70,000s, right? Which is basically that range we've been consolidating back in 2024. Okay, that is still going to be a pretty sharp drop, right? So very important to be paying attention to right now because we are basically at the height of this pattern right now, looking to break out. But if it fails, that is something to be considering. Let's take a look into the stock market. Very important because it's highly correlated with Bitcoin and the crypto markets. Bitcoin drives the crypto markets. Okay, that's why you have seen, when Bitcoin has consolidated or even dropped last year, 2024, terrible year for altcoins for the most part. It's because Bitcoin has been dropping and consolidating, right? Now, let's take a look into ES1 exclamation mark S&P 500 mini futures, highly correlated with Bitcoin. On the weekly time frame here, still got a very good bounce off that 4,800 level, which was the breakout of that very long pattern that has been consolidating since 2022 and broke out 2024. And then price action actually retested that level at 4,800. If that level does not hold, the next level down will be the weekly 200 SMA, 4,700. Very important support, right? We got a very good bounce though on the RSI, so that looks very good in terms of strength. Okay, So that tells me if the price action wants to make an equal or lower low next time, it's more likely than not that we're going to get a bounce again and see where that bounce takes the stock market. The daily time frame, next focus, where I still do see a higher high and a higher low on the daily time frame for S&P. Right, very important that the bulls hold this 5100 level, right, which has been kind of that support and resistance level for that drop last week. Okay, and for the bulls, you definitely want to see the price action for S&P actually, get back above some of these daily moving averages as well. Okay, so that is basically what I have for you guys today. I'm taking I'm keeping an eye out on the hourly time frame. Let's see if we can actually get any trades. I can actually open any trades based on that chart. Now, if you guys do want to make any TA requests, technical analysis chart requests, make sure to drop a comment. What altcoins you want to see? I could pick one or two altcoins for every episode and do it for you guys. Make sure to drop a request, like, subscribe. See you guys next time and have a beautiful day.